Today I'm gonna discuss Pioneer and Explorer formats metagame. Um, I talked about my predictions when the ban occurred. So Amalia was banned and Sorin were banned. Um, I predicted that Izet Phoenix would rise in popularity. I predicted that Devotion or Nictus Ramp would go up in popularity. And I think I also mentioned Sacrifice, but I'm not sure. Um, I talked a bit about the Rakdos mid-range. I talked a bit about Azorius. Um, as you as you can see, my predictions weren't very far off. So what's happening is that Phoenix is now the leader of the metagame by a fair margin, followed by Rakdos Agro, which is this deck I didn't predict. So what happened is that Gruul Prowess or Gruul Agro shifted a bit to have the better removal, so that when you're fighting a mirror of aggro, you have Fatal Push. I think that makes you be ahead in the matchup. So Rakdos Aggro is now on second place and putting up a lot of good results. As you can see right here, Rakdos Aggro just scored a 5-0 on Pioneer League in MTGO. Um, along with a lot of other decks, but let's talk about this. And here on MTG Goldfish, you can actually select. I don't think you guys can see, but you can select here how many days you want to have into account. So if you just look at the last 7 days of results, Rakdos Aggro is the most dominant deck with 20% meta share, followed by Zed Phoenix and then Azorius Control. Other thing you can notice is that the Neve 4 color and 5 color just drops off completely. Um, I think the reason is that Neve decks were particularly good against vampires, and they are the worst matchups are basically Azorius Control and Izet Phoenix, and those are the two top decks after the Rakdos Aggro. And even the matchup against Rakdos Aggro, you kind of rely a bit on luck, because you got to have your Lightning Helixes and you're playing an 80 card deck, so you have a bit of fluctuation on what you can or can't draw, and that deck is just way too consistent. Um, Then following Izet Phoenix, Azorius Control, and Rakdos Aggro, we have Jund Sacrifice, which I didn't see coming. So when I said that I was expecting, um, I was expecting Rakdos Sacrifice to come back, I was not expecting Jund to Sacrifice to pop up. And the reason being is that Igra is a 5 cost card, and there are very few decks with such a low curve playing such a big expensive card. But after testing, I tested this deck a bit. And what I found out is that people are using Scavenger's Talent to just reanimate Igra sometimes. Um, so you don't necessarily have to cast Igra, and then you just combo off. If you have Igra and two Cauldron Familiars, you sacrifice one, uh, the other one comes into the battlefield, you drain one, and then you can repeat this process how many times you want. Um, Selesnya Angels also made a bit of a comeback. I also didn't see that coming, but I guess the deck is pretty decent against at least Rakdos Aggro, because they gain a bunch of life. I don't know if Rakdos can just be like faster than Angels, but probably. This is a deck I don't really enjoy playing. I think you just put everything on the table, and then if your opponent has like Wrath or something, you run out of gas, and then it's very hard to come back from that. Of course, if you top deck Collected Company, it's a whole different story, but you're relying on a top deck basically to come back from that position. Rak's mid-range, as I said, is now popping up again. But as I said also, it's not on the same state it was before. So Rak's mid-range before Sorin appeared was the top tier deck in the format. It was just dominating everyone. But I think that Azorius Control uh, received new tools while Rakt just lost Sorin. Um, so they are basically playing the old list, but it's worse against one of the best matchups that there was before. Rakt was basically unbeatable against Azorius Control, and now it's a little bit more shaky. This deck also struggles against Nictos, which is it's not predominant as you've seen also in the last 7 days. It's not popping up all that much, but the deck is also struggling a bit against Nictos. But yeah, then we have Mono Black Discard, which was popular before and it's still popular. I think the deck is pretty good. It can do well, especially against Phoenix if you resolve a waste not very early. They have issues putting the Phoenixes on the graveyard, and then you basically turn their Ledger Shredders against them, which is pretty good. Um, then you have Lotus Field, Azorius Spirit, Work Convoke, and these are the most played decks on the last 7 days. If we shift this to 14 days, you see that Nictos is up here. So it's a trend on the last few days that Nictos is not as popular, but the deck is still putting up very good results. 7 days is also not meaningful, but it's I usually use the 7 days filter to see where the trend is going. Um, if you scroll a bit down, we have also Gruul Agro, but I think this is not. I don't think this is the version that has. Okay, so maybe it is. Why did it show Ezika's Chariot though? This is the Gruul Agro Classic, but there was a Ezika's Chariot in the image, so I was a bit confused. It's in more mid-range than it actually is. Um, Quintorius Combo, 5 color Enigmatic Fires. All these decks are still around. They are not as good as they were before. Spirits though, I've seen Spirits putting up good results, even if it's not the Azorius version. I think there was Band Spirits doing a very good tournament finish. I think it took down a 100 players tournament. So Spirit is also a deck that can pull through if you're good at piloting it. Um, as you can see also here on the sidebar, so there are other decks popping up like Rakdos Transmogrify, Temur Creativity. There are a couple of decks going around doing some results, but they are still not representative enough to show up here. I think that these lists will still shake a little bit with the time. But yeah, this is where we are at right now. I think most of my predictions were correct. I just didn't see Igra coming into the equation. Function Sacrifice is surprising me even, and I was expecting Hack Sacrifice to go up in popularity, but not like this. But it's cool to see Igra having a place in Pioneer. Yeah, that's it for this video.